B.F. Skinner was an American psychologist whose entire focus was behavioralism. So, Skinner's main idea, theory, that he's very much so known for today was his theory of operant conditioning. And essentially, operant conditioning is a theory that using positive and or negative reinforcers can shape a behavior or diminish an unwanted behavior. So some of his examples for reinforcers, a positive reinforcer would be that you give your child money for finishing their chores on time or for bringing home a great report card. But a negative reinforcer could easily be taking your child's phone away, for getting in trouble at school, or not letting them hang out after school if their grades are bad. So we tested this entire theory with what is called a Skinner's box, and it is still used today with other experiments. But essentially, a Skinner's box is an enclosed chamber. It's a literal box where he would choose an animal, and in this box there was a lever. Well, a lever specifically for rats, but I think a pigeon had a key. So in this box, there was a lever, and the rat could step on the lever, and stepping on the lever would either release food or water or some other stimulus. So he was testing to see if the rat would put two and two together by, hey, if I step on this lever, I'm going to get a treat. It is still used today. I've looked it up, and other scientists have used pigeons, and I think I read somewhere that there was a squirrel used. So all of the Skinner's box, the reinforcements, all shaped his operant conditioning theory. But he also influenced education, and still does to this day. As an educator, we still use his theory of active learning. He was very, very, very passionate to active learning, which is essentially you learn by doing. So a student will learn better by taking action and actually doing what they're learning about versus sitting in a lecture for an hour learning off a PowerPoint. He also influences education by his novel Technology of Teaching. And in this novel of Technology of Teaching, he discusses different teaching styles and how he believes that we should teach our students. And one chapter is called Why Teachers Fail. And this entire chapter is giving great advice on why we may not teach certain students the way they should be taught. And an example in his chapter is that teachers are not professionally trained to learn each individual child's learning style. And he believes that that's why we fail, because we may use one teaching style, but another child may need another one to learn. So one criticism that I read was by Hans Eysenck. He was also an American psychologist, and he criticized that Skinner did not take individual concepts and differences into play when he was researching all of this. So he did not take genetics into play, personality into play, or even intelligence into play. All three of those things are going to heavily impact his experiment, the conclusion and the results, because he didn't put personalized detail into this experiment. My personal criticism is that when using the Skinner box, he only used animals, which I know obviously he cannot put a human in a box. But if there was a way to somehow do a controlled experiment with a human to see for himself, because I feel like, yes, humans, mammals, we're all the same, but he only used a rat. So I think that's only my criticism, is that I wish there would have been a way for him to put the Skinner box into a human form so we could see if that affected everything.